essential tremors or familial tremors like I have is if you use the muscles in your hand. Look at that left hand. Isn't that wonderful? All the CBD and medical marijuana in the world doesn't help it, but it sure is fun trying. Actually, a year ago, May, I had heart surgery, 4.5 hours to eliminate chronic atrial fib, tachycardia, atrial flutter, and 35 years of heart problems and heart medication. And I am now off of all meds. When all your medication fills up the palm of your hand, and it takes 4 gulps of kombucha to swallow it, and then you wonder if it's ever going to go down and get into your system. I'm a new person. I had an epiphany last week, and it was like a visual water balloon. You know how you have a water balloon fight and you look for that person and you throw it at them and it splashes all over the place? Well, my visual of my epiphany was a water balloon splashing on my chest and exploding, and this inner child of Kellogg, or I was Kelly when I was 5 in Santa Cruz, riding my tricycle through my Uncle David's secret garden, and he told me not to, of course. I did. And I came home from school one day, and he called me into his work shed, and he had taken my tricycle apart all the way down to the spokes and laid it out on his wood floor. And he pointed it, and this is a big tall guy, and he pointed his finger at me, and he said, "You will follow directions from now on, and you will do this, and you won't do this." And I didn't know that at that age that started my PTSD. That just started it. And I fought society. I only wear clothes because society says I have to. And I wore this tonight because I'm celebrating, and I'm also trying it out. I have a lesbian friend who thinks she has to marry her girlfriend, and I volunteered to be best man. So I'm warming up for the wedding in October, which might happen. I don't know, but I won't go into that. My mother had a companion for 35 years, and I always referred to Mom and Alice. So I don't care who you marry. If you don't want kids, marry whatever you want to, but I'm married to my dog and my cat, mortgage payment, my car payment, and all that. Anyway, Mom had Parkinson's, and she also had essential tremors. So alcohol takes care of essential tremors, but I'm a recovering addict, and so I would make her a screwdriver, and I would give it to her, and she'd say, "This doesn't have enough vodka in it." So I'd go in the kitchen and make noise, and not add any vodka, because I couldn't taste it. I didn't want to taste it. And hand it back to her, and I said, "How's this, Mom?" And she said, "Oh, it's perfect." Thank you. Caregiving is like raising children. There are no rule books, and it happenstance, okay? So 1968, I'm in Southern California. My girlfriend Marion and I decided not to go to Tucson to work as a wrangler at a horse ranch for the summer. I decided to stay home. And my girlfriend Marion and I would go to the beach. Now in 1968, the beaches were clear in Southern California. We lived in Torrance. And we would go to Redondo Beach or Hermosa Beach. We didn't go to Venice because there were too many weirdos out there, even in the 60s. It was even worse than it is now. And we would lie on the beach when we weren't playing frisbee or flirting with the guys or something like that. We'd lay on the beach and just out there sunning, like this, and getting all those ultraviolet rays that are giving me little cancer things on my head now and on my face. And one time, it's funny what you remember when you're older, and I'm 70 minus 3, and forget the Botox. And I remember looking down like this, and if you remember junior high school, that age, whatever, you look down, and I turned to my friend Marion, and I said, our rib cage is higher than our boobs. And we both looked at each other, and we both went, yeah. And then I said, what's going to happen when we get older? And then we talked about it for a while, and I said, I know what. I said, they're going to fall into our armpits. Like this. And we just laughed, right? Well, guess what? They fall into your armpits. Okay? And I'm celebrating tonight. It's a bon voyage party. Instead of when the fighters would drop their bombs over either Vietnam or Germany or something like that, it's always bombs away! You know, like this. Well, our expression around my house with my dog and my cats is boobs away. Because Monday, well, I will preface this. The only good thing about Obama's presidency was that he approved the VA Choice Program. Now, VA Choice Program is a program funded by the government, what's left of it, and will pay for outpatient services that the VA cannot, provide. Well, in 1990-something, I had a mammogram done while I was on active duty, and they found a lump in my right breast. And it turned out to be fibrocystic breast disease. So when I retired from the Air Force in '99, by the way, I did 23 years of health. 76 to 99. And someday, probably in the summer, I'll tell you that I joined the Air Force on a bet, but he only gave me 10 minutes today, so I have to get to this boob job really quick. Yeah. So anyway, who are the girls? Where was I? Oh, boob job. Part of it. Oh, the VA choice. Okay. So the commander was really sweet. I didn't have to sleep with him to get promoted. But he wrote what's called a line of duty. And a line of duty is a government federal form that says that this physical thing happened while I was on active duty. So I qualified for service-connected disability. Okay? So the VA had my boobs, left and right, coded as superficial scars. Because it took 14 years for me to fight the VA to explain to them that my cysts in my boobs were never going to exude and exfoliate like a boil on your butt. And I finally had to go to the physician for the Atlanta Falcons and talk to him, who was a Navy vet, and I said, write a letter to explain the difference between fibrocystic breast disease and cysts on your butt. And they turned in the letter, and it took 14 years, and the VA got it. So I am getting some phenomenal amount of not very much money for my superficial scars. So with that, Obama's VA choice, I'm tired of rashes. I had right rotator cuff surgery in December, and it's healed wonderfully, but it pulls everything down here. So everything aches right in here. And I was talking to a nurse, and I said, how do I know what it feels like to not have these? When I was pregnant, I was a 44 double D. I breastfed for 15 months, and let me tell you, I understand Dolly Parton when that milk comes in. Ooh, all those cantaloupes that I bought at the farmer's market were right there on my chest, hanging out, going, stop me! Yeah, anyway, 8 years ago I used to weigh 325 pounds, and now I'm stuck at 242. And these things are hanging out, not doing anything, like in my armpits. And so I put in with the Pearl team at the VA and said, I want to have cosmetic surgery and breast reconstruction. And they said, sure. Do you know anybody? I said, hell no, I don't get cosmetic surgeons. You're kidding. I like the way I look, And I don't want any puffed up lips and Botox to get rid of those little crow's nest things on your eyes that I love. And they said yes, so they found a cosmetic surgeon up in Phoenix. It's Dr. Patrick Cole. And if you know plastic surgery, they usually just take cash. And he said he would take the VA choice. So I even get free transportation at 6:30 Monday morning, April 22nd, for my bon voyage party. And when he was doing the exam, he's like feeling all around. He said, "Oh, these are perfect." He said, "I can't wait to get you under the knife." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Do you want a B cup or a C cup?" I said, "Sweetheart, I'm at 44 double D. I want anything you have to offer." I said, and I missed a B cup on the way up to 44 double D. So I don't want to wear a bra. So I'm a B cup on Monday. But the VA is paying for everything. I get free transport. They'll drop me off at the hospital. I'll go under the knife. I'll come up. They're going to keep me overnight and on observation, and then pick me up and transport me home. So I was talking to somebody, and I said, "How do I know what it's going to feel like?" And she said, "Do you have a kitchen counter?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Is it a breakfast bar?" And I said, "Yeah, about chest high." She said, "Go to the counter and put your boobs on the counter." So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to put my boots on the counter." Now what? And I was on the phone with her. She said, "Now relax your legs and leave your boobs on the counter." And I was like, holy shit. I want this. So now every morning, now that we're coming down to it, I mean Monday, tomorrow's a full moon, Good Friday, Sunday is Easter Sunday, so the Easter Bunny's going to bring me no boobs. I told him, I said, "Can't you just take them off? Am I still a woman if I don't have boobs?" But I now can sell my stock in baby powder, cornstarch baby powder. I can sell my stock in all my clothes, and yeah. Anyway, so next month, don't look at my chest. You can be there. But anyway, I'm really thrilled about that they aren't going to be superficial scars anymore. And one of my other service-connected disabilities, Senator McSally just came out and admitted that she was raped in the Air Force Academy, I think, back in the 70s. It's all over the news and everything. And since then, I looked at my life in the Air Force, and I said, you've survived a lot of things and a lot of men that wanted to sleep with you and everything. And I ended up saying no was my favorite word. No. And so I went online to ebenefits.com and submitted an application for PTSD and military sexual trauma. Now, not all of it was traumatic, because on approach to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in a KC-10 refueling tanker, I was a member of the Mile High Club. At 16,500 feet on approach to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, what was I doing there? One, I was learning to swim in the hotel pool. And the other, I was working at command post as a weapons controller when we were reflagging Kuwaiti tankers in the Persian Gulf in 1988. And there was a major that was in our control room, and he was smoking a cigarette. Well, I'm allergic to it. And I very nicely, I can be nice, but not very nice. Anyway, tact and diplomacy, I can spell them, but they're not part of my repertoire. I went up to him and I said, "Sir, could you put out your cigarette?" Like that. I said, "Okay, you're a major, I'm a captain, you're a male, I'm a female, this is Saudi Arabia. We don't have any rights, we can't even drive a bus. We have to walk 10 feet behind the guys downtown, and I'm not barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen anymore." And I asked him again. Well, the next day when I showed up for work, now the command post is where everything happens. And when I was getting off shift in 1988, the USS Vincennes had just shot down the Iranian airliner. And we were basically at war, and I was getting off shift. I didn't have to call the general, isn't that nice? But the next day when I showed up to work, I was fired. And the reason I was fired was I would not sleep with the major, and they were having parties over at the hotel and hospital. And I said, no, I was not a party animal, and I would not do that. And so I was fired. So here I am, a single female officer in the Air Force, stranded in Saudi Arabia, with no orders and no nothing. And a colonel down the hall in personnel snagged me and made me a writer, and he taught me to write awards and decorations. Well, these are the ones that when somebody gets a Medal of Honor or something like that, they read the certificate. So-and-so served his country, da-da-da-da, and dedicated all that. I wrote those things. And it sure was better than sleeping with that major. Because it taught me to write. And so my colonel, when I was done there, he was from Davis Montana, and I was in Phoenix, and he used to tell people, he said, Kellogg can write. He said, do you want to get court-martialed or promoted? Take your choice. She can get it for you.
We have time?
I just plenty of time? Okay. So I
finish the story.
Oh, okay. Where was I? Saudi Arabia, 1988. Yeah. So anyway, I filed for sexual assault, and I put in the application on a Monday, and I got a letter back from the VA saying we're investigating this. And when I got back to my unit in Phoenix, it seems that the major had called my commander, and I was the scourge of the unit, and I was blackballed in the state of Arizona in the Air National Guard as a captain and an air weapons controller. And so I decided to resign my commission and get my enlisted stripes back. So Senator McCain was very strong in Arizona in the 80s, and so I went to his aid, and through Senator McCain I was able to resign my commission and get my E5 straps back. I was so happy. If I was a Marine, I would be a Mustang, a prior enlisted officer, but I was so happy to be an officer. So, am I done? Am I done? I'm done. Okay. Those of you who are in the restaurant, stand up. It's 7th inning stretch time. There's one of my business cards taped to the bottom of your chair, and you want a quilt. Sean, would you bring me my quilt? Oh, it's right there.
I got you guys.
See, nothing wrong with me today. So there's one on this guy over here. Yep, bring it up. And Carmen, you have one. And the nice lady with the tattooed arm over there. Come on up. Come on up. And the person sitting in that first, the one at the bar drinking. No. Okay. Yeah, her. Yeah, him, her. I can't see. The lights are in my eyes. Underneath your chair is one of my business cards taped to it. And in the military, we say front and center, and that's not when you're in trouble. When you're in trouble, it's you in my office now, which sends me into Ptsd. Okay. I have, this is for Carmen. This is, she's the wife of Casey over there that has made me a celebrity at Finley Subaru because I have a muddy Subaru Outback, and they posted it on the website.
It's beautiful!
This is what a Subaru is supposed to look like. So, anyway, my shaking, I have to say it the right way. Carmen, I did this for you. So turn on the lights so they can see it. I do custom themed quilts. So if you're into marijuana, I can do that. I can't smoke it, but it'll keep you warm. So that's the secret garden. And I got lots of those. And you, little one, what do you like? Do you like penguins?
I know.
Any farmers here? Right. Donuts. This is penguins and donuts. How often do you have penguins and donuts? Okay?
Yay!
I take orders. I'm on Facebook and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't play the word games on Facebook because it's always, that word is not in our dictionary. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Okay, tattoo. I love the tattoos. I would never get one. But I really appreciate the artwork that other people do to their body. I just want to get rid of these things. Okay, are you a John Deere? Are you a farmer? Do you date one? Do you sleep with one? Don't tell me. There's lots to choose from, but not in my age group. Okay, is this one John Deere? Yeah, this is John Deere, and it's a girly girl. So it means it's a lot of pink, and I don't see any gay guys that want to come up here and get it. This is my John Deere with a girly girl. He got penguins and donuts. Yeah. All right, who's next? Where did I put the other? Oh, I put one in your seat, but you don't get it. Yeah.
No, baby, you got mine.
What? Yeah. No, I already gave you yours. Okay, who's celebrating something? Whose birthday is today? Who wants a quilt? You do? Okay. Do you want parrots and Van Gogh?
Oh!
No, it might have donuts in it. Or a dragon. Dragon?
No pigments in Van Gogh? I mean, parrots?
The Van Gogh is just one of his paintings.
Oh!
Yeah, you know this. Oh yeah, that's the dragon. Yeah, I don't know if that one had any marijuana in it. Just remember, don't smoke it. Okay, but these are very warm. Okay, there's one more. The chair right there. Somebody go get it underneath her chair. Yeah.
On her way.
Front and center. And you get parrots and Van Gogh. Yeah. But I gotta talk to somebody unless you don't have it. Okay, get your ass up.
Oh, she didn't pull it out.
Oh, you're horrible. Oh, next Tuesday I will be back. Yeah. And when I was losing weight, a friend of mine said, he hugged me and he said, oh my God, my arms reach all the way around you still. When I hugged you, and I was like, I lost 44 inches of belly fat. Okay. Let me find Van Gogh. Yeah, Van Gogh's down there at the bottom. That's Van Gogh. His field down there. And I think you got bagels and donuts, and you got radishes.
Bagels.
And did you get penguins too? Whoa! Yeah, all of my quilts are related because I take the scraps from one to start the other. And so they're all in the same family. And I gave them away to the VA hospice and all that. And I just gave 4 to the Kiwanis auction. And yeah, anyway. So if you want a custom themed quilt, let me know. I'll negotiate with you on the price, usually around 75 or 125, and 40 by 60. And I don't get hugs from my partner. Matter of fact, we don't even touch. He's an Agent Orange, Vietnam Marine Corps gunny sergeant. And I wanted to be a gunny sergeant when I joined the Air Force, but my family. Am I done? Can I keep going? Okay, good. When I graduated from college in 1976, the Vietnam War was over with, and I had a college degree in recreation administration, and I applied to every national park in the United States. And since I wasn't a vet, they wouldn't hire me. So I said, hell with you, and I enlisted. Okay. But at my graduation, my brothers got together at our graduation party when they weren't drunk and said, Kelly, you have to join the Air Force. And I said, I want to be a Marine, goddammit, Freddie. And he said, no, you have to. The Air Force is the only service not represented in the family. And I said, fuck the family. I want to be a Marine. Marine. And who's my partner now? A Marine gunny sergeant. And he's teaching me to think like a gunny sergeant and a Marine. Officers, Air Force officers are spoiled, upper class, stupid, and yeah. all of the above, not the present company accessory. And so Freddie was a Marine Corps A-4 pilot out of Da Nang. Scotty was the original SEAL. He was underwater demolition, UDT. Jimmy was an Army supply clerk at Fort Ord. And the Air Force wasn't represented, so I became a weather observer, and then when I got married, I became a air traffic weapons controller. You know in the movie Top Gun? You know in the opening scenes of Top Gun, when the fighters are out there and the enemy is out there, and they're giving you all these commands, you know, bogey this way, bogey that way, and da-da-da-da-da like that. That was my job. I was that guy sitting in front of the radar scope, watching our fighters go and directing them to the target, okay? So that's what I did for 10 years. And that's why I ended up with chronic atrial fib, chronic tachycardia. After August of 2017, my heart never went back into normal sinus rhythm, and I checked out of the hospital ER with a pulse of 110. I was a stroke waiting to happen. And when I had the heart surgery a year ago, and the epiphany of the water balloon crashing on my chest, and this Kelly, strong Kelly coming out from my uncle's garage going, "Fuck you, I'm gonna be who I wanna be, and damn it, nobody can tell me not to." And that persona was crunched into my soul, wanting to get out. When that water balloon hit me last week, it was like, yay, you get a boob job and you're a real person now. And I feel so strong and empowered that I didn't even quit when I knew it was the third Thursday of the month that I could get up here, and Sean would try to get me off the stage. But we have a ukulele person here, and I think I've done about 4 months of talks, but it's really hard to get your serious, funny stories out in 10 minutes. You know. Okay, come pull me off the stage like you did in July. July they had to pull me off the stage. Okay. Yeah, it's on video. It's on my Facebook page.
It's on video, Sean.
You go to my Facebook page, Kellogg Patton. There's a video on there of a wonderful woman with a beautiful voice playing a guitar. And you fast forward through that video 13 minutes, unless you want to listen to her. She says to die for you. Anyway, I wanted to run away with her, but she said no.
Bless you.
And you go forward, and that's my very first Virgin monologue, where I talked about going to a nudist camp for my 49th birthday. And they had to pull me off the stage, so pull me off the stage. Okay, nice entertaining you, thank you. Now I can go home and watch Law and Order.